early, you're able to see. So welcome to Change Management in Uncertain Times. We've got a lot to get through today, guys, so I want to jump straight in, and I'm going to share some slides with you as well, just as more of a value add. So you can take your screenshots or whatever. You can watch the recording later. I'm going to upload it to YouTube a little bit later. And wow, Pearl Island, Malaysia. That sounds awesome, wherever that is. Cool. Let's jump in, guys. Let's jump straight in. We will be using the chat box function as well, guys, as we go through. I want this to be as interactive and as fun as possible. I want to learn from you as well, some of your best practices for change management in uncertain times. So at some points as we go through, I'll invite you to pop some answers or questions or whatever into the chat box, and I'll check those out as we go through. Awesome. So there's a ton of webinar and information on our YouTube channel. All of the webinars we did from last year can all be there. We also have a Facebook group that you're welcome to join. I'll send the links at the very end of the session, guys, so you can have a look at those. This is what we're going to cover today, and let's just jump straight in, shall we? I want to be mindful of your time. So just a little bit about me and Coachology. I've been coaching and training professionally for more than 10 years now. I'm based here in Bangkok, Thailand. And back in those days that we could fly and travel, do you remember those days? I used to fly all around the region, teaching communication and coaching and leadership programs all around the world. And well, thank you to lockdown and such, I'm providing those same sessions virtually now to these companies you can see here. So please rest assured what we're going to cover tonight is truly world-class, the same kind of content in terms of change management and mindset that I teach to these world-class organizations. Cool. So when we think about change, guys, the definition in the dictionary is to make or become different. Now, we don't want to change just for the sake of changing. So my kind of amended definition of change is to make or become better, right? If it's not broke, you know, don't fix it. So when we think about change, I want you to think about becoming better or improving or growing in those specific areas of your life, whether it's your personal life or your professional life. And managing change, guys, it's 80% mindset and then 20% strategy. So what we mean by that is the mindset that you have, a positive kind of can do, and maybe like, I don't know how to do it yet, but I'll figure it out, overcoming fear, overcoming resistance, all of those things which makes change difficult is really a mindset. 80% of it is mindset. 20% is the strategy, or what we call the how to manage the change. And there are a ton of books, and there's a 5-step process, and there's a 7-step process, and there's these beautiful little diagrams you can follow, all of which is very, very useful. And that's more on the strategy component. For today's purposes and webinar, I want us to focus more on the mindset, because if you can get this right, the strategy itself is much, much easier because it's only the 20%. And there's a ton of literature and information and processes and tools that you can use for the strategy. Let's focus on the mindset for today. So the way I think about change is an opportunity. Change should be seen as being a positive. And you know, sadly for a lot of people out there, we take that word change and we associate different, more disempowering words such as change is difficult, or change takes a long time, or it's difficult to change, and so on. And while that is true in certain aspects, if whatever we continually tell ourselves, guys, on a regular basis becomes true for you. So if we continually say to ourselves, change is difficult, change is hard, change is uncomfortable, and all of those, that internal dialogue, if we keep telling ourselves that, then we will believe that to be true, right? Now, the opposite is also true. If we think that change is an opportunity, that change is success, that change is inevitable, and it is inevitable. It's the only constant in this universe is change. It's the actual only guarantee and the only thing with certainty that I would bet my life savings on, that change is inevitable. It's going to happen. So, you know, just like the waves in the ocean, you can't stop the waves, right? What you can do is you can learn to surf. And so change is kind of like that. We go through life and we have these changes, right? Whether we move location or we change jobs or we move from a career to being an entrepreneur or business owner, relationships, partners, you know, all of those kinds of things are the waves of life. So you can try to stop those waves, but it's really difficult. Have you ever tried to stop the waves when you go for a swim in Phuket or down at the beach? It's pretty difficult. So better that you learn to surf or boogie board or swim or however you want to do it and go with the flow instead of resisting that change, which again is all part of this 80% of the mindset. So I want you to explain here two concepts for you, what I call the conscious change process or the unconscious change process. So let me pull up my little doodah laser pointer here. I'm so advanced. Okay, over here, above this line here, we've got what we call positive emotion. Think happiness, joy, love, connection, abundance, all of those kinds of things are up here in the positive emotion. Down on the bottom here is the negative emotion. Think anger, sadness, frustration, loneliness, etc., etc. And then we've got time going across this way. So the conscious change process is here you are going through life, wherever you are, and you kind of think, yeah, I know that change is inevitable. I know that I need to continue to grow and develop myself. I know that, you know, evolution is a part of why I'm here on this planet. You're consciously aware of those things. So you decide, hey, I want to go to that next level of success, whatever that is for you. And so you kind of, you have your laser focus, you do your goal setting and all of those kinds of things. Now, what does happen though, as you begin to go through the change process consciously, you kind of are aware and you kind of accept that it's going to be a little bit difficult, shall we say. And it's only difficult because you're moving from the known into the unknown. So that can cause a little bit of stress, right? So your positive, happy-go-lucky, woohoo emotions, you know, you realize you have to do your push-ups, so it might dip a little bit. The good news is not for too long. Why? Because you're proactive, you're tapping into your resourcefulness, right? Because we've never had more resources in the history of the planet, right? So it's your ability to utilize your mindset to tap into that resourcefulness. And if you're working with a team, then of course there's going to be teamwork as well involved into that. All right, so far so good. Then you're going to achieve results. You don't have a choice but to achieve results. And then boom, you've gone from that level of happiness up to that next level because you've achieved that next level of success, whatever that is for you, right? Makes sense? So this is the conscious change process. You know that continual evolution is part of the reason why you're on this planet. Now, the other model is what we call the unconscious change process. Now, what do we mean by conscious and unconscious? I simply want you to think of conscious means you are aware. Unconscious means you are unaware. Yeah? So this is what happens. Here we are. We're not consciously thinking about changing, and we're just kind of maybe we're going along life kind of like this on a plateau. We've kind of flatlined and we're not really interested in changing. We've got a nice tight little comfort zone and we're very, very happy inside of our comfort zone. And we're just kind of cruise along in autopilot. Now, what happens, guys, though, over time, when you're not growing and when you're not changing, your level of emotional fulfillment will begin to decrease. And you've probably seen some examples of this. For example, I know you probably know someone is they've got a lot of money, they've got the big house and the nice car, they've got all of the stuff, right? But they're not happy. Yeah. So why are they not happy? Well, in most instances, it's because they've kind of plateaued, right? Even though they've got all the stuff, they're not nurturing their internal growth. They're not, you know, learning more, and as a result, they're just kind of plateau. So what happens over time, they feel less and less fulfilled. They feel less happy, and they start to experience more negative emotion. And that negative emotion shows up as drama or problems or unhappiness. Now, the universe, in its infinite wisdom, it knows that your purpose on this planet is to continually grow and evolve. So if we resist change, or we're just not conscious about it at all, oftentimes the universe will say, oh, you'd like a little bit of a help to grow. Here, let me give you some drama, or let me give you a problem to force you, in effect, outside of your comfort zone, to force you to grow. Does this make sense, guys? Yes or yes? Right? Who's had that experience once, twice, or maybe more times? I know that I have back in the day. So here you have a choice. You can consciously choose to grow, because that's our purpose on this planet, or you can unconsciously, which means do nothing, la 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 la, and the universe is always watching. It says, here, let me give you a little nudge, either a gentle one or a right, which could be a pandemic, which could be losing your job. It can show up in 100 different ways. That creates pain, right? Some kind of pain, that emotional pain, that Now, what will happen at some point, guys? You will feel that pain, and that's going to create more awareness. So now, all of a sudden, you become a little bit more conscious, right? Pain is your subconscious mind's way of saying, hello, something is not right in your life. You're not growing. Hello. So pain is a message from your unconscious mind. So now you create a little bit more awareness, and you go, oh, something's not right here. I don't know what it is, but something is not right. Now, you will sit in this area here, and you'll resist change. No, I don't want to change. I'm comfortable here. It's so nice here in the comfort zone. Or you might be shocked, or you might be angry, right? So there's all these emotions going on over here. Now, how long does that last? Well, how long is a piece of string, right? The answer is it's different for everybody, until at some point, once you've experienced enough pain, you'll go, okay, I accept, I surrender, I will change. But how long is long enough? How long do you want to be in this pain and this suffering and this anger? So eventually, you will accept that change is going to happen. And what is that? It could be going through a divorce. It could be moving house. It could be losing a job. It could be the loss of a loved one. Whatever that change is, no matter how small or how big it is, we eventually get to a point of acceptance. And only then can you begin to move forward. With that level of acceptance, now you consciously, right, you've created enough awareness now with all of that pain. You think, all right, okay, I get it. I'm going to move forward. I'm going to evolve. This is the target. This is the goal that I'm going to move towards. You begin to be more proactive, resourceful. And if you're in a team, you work with your team, and then you move to that next level of success. Does that make sense, guys? Give me a nod or a thumbs up if that's making sense so far. Yeah? Awesome. So which one would you prefer? Conscious change or unconscious change? I know which one I prefer, right? I prefer conscious change. So as an example, in my own personal life, together with my wife, Coach Christy, even though we're at the top of our game in terms of coaching and training, I don't fool myself thinking that I know everything. Hell no. So consciously, 3 or 4 times per year, Coach Christy and I will enroll in another program as students, right? I'll be there as a student to learn something that I did not know, because I would rather consciously change and evolve than the universe say, surprise, and give me something that perhaps I don't exactly want in my life. All right, cool. So inside here is what is known and is what is familiar to you. In other words, this is your conscious awareness. Outside of your conscious awareness is what is unknown and what is unfamiliar, what we call unconscious. So remember, unconscious simply means not aware. Now, this is your level of resistance. This red ring around here, you may have heard of it called the comfort zone before. So inside of your comfort zone, there are all those things that you know and that you are familiar with. Now, your job, guys, from this webinar point onwards, is you want to reduce your resistance, right? Reduce your resistance to life. You want to make the walls of your comfort zone a little bit more flexible so that you can continue to grow and evolve and become a better version of yourself. And then you reduce it some more so that, guys, because guess what? That next level of success for you, where does it exist? Is it inside of your comfort zone or outside of your comfort zone? Yeah, we know it's going to be outside of your comfort zone. So what does that mean, guys? That goal that you want to achieve, whether it's get promoted or this or that, it's outside of your comfort zone. Because if it was inside your comfort zone, you'd already have it. You would already have it, but you don't have it. So the fact that you do not have it yet presupposes that you don't know how to do it, it's unknown and it's unfamiliar, right? And it's just so happens that the tiny little baby step outside of the comfort zone, it's only uncomfortable for a little bit, but then you achieve your goals, you experience growth, you have success, you get promoted, you start or grow your business, you attract more money, you develop awesome relationships, and you move to your next level, whatever that is. That next level is outside of your comfort zone. So you want to reduce the resistance, this imaginary glass ceiling between what you know and what you're familiar with and what is unknown and is unfamiliar. And that's what we call the change process, moving, stepping boldly and courageously into the unknown, because that is where the magic happens. That is where your next level of success is. So you want to manage that transition of change between the known to the unknown. And you want to get good at it because it doesn't stop, right? Just because you hit 40 years old, now I can take it easy. No, that's those people that you see out there that have all the stuff but are not happy. So even when you're 80 years old and you've done almost every workshop under the sun, there's always still something that you do not know that if you did know would help you to continually grow and evolve and experience more love, happiness, and fulfillment. Does this make sense, guys? Yes or yes? Awesome. Wow, we've got Pakistan here on the call today. So cool, guys. Thank you. So basically what's going on when we think about change, it is a high level of uncertainty. This is the main resistance that you're going to experience, whether it's yourself personally or whether it is your teams. The resistance to change is because of high levels of uncertainty. And, you know, I don't know that we've ever lived in any time in the world of so much uncertainty at the moment, with lockdowns and political uncertainty and all of these other things, economy, there's a huge amount of uncertainty. So the question that most people are asking in themselves when they're feeling this resistance is, what does this mean for me? What does my future hold? How can I navigate this uncertainty? What are the consequences for me? Right? So this change process, it creates a lot of uncertainty in the minds of people. So when we talk about the resistance to change that most people are experiencing, we're talking about uncertainty. We're talking about a competence or a lack thereof. So people might resist change because they think that they're, I don't know, they're too good, that they know it all, and they perceive the change to be a lower level of status or something like that. So they think that they're overqualified or that they're underqualified. Like, for example, if someone is kind of pushed into the deep end to get promoted, they're like, oh, boss, I can't do it. Well, they're pushing away opportunity. Why would we do that? Well, we do that because we're human, right? So the other thing that's going on in people's mind, why do they resist change, is there's a high level of attachment to the current state. In other words, they're very attached to their comfort zone, thinking, having the illusion that that will last forever. But we've already know it won't last forever. And if you resist change, the universe will find a way to push you outside of that comfort zone. They're not prepared to consider the new, right? So remember that change is unknown and unfamiliar. Therefore, it is new. So they're like, oh, no, that's new. I'm going to stay over here because look how beautiful and comfortable my comfort zone is. They may have had a previous negative change experience. So in other words, they've gone through a change experience before and it was highly negative, right? For 1,000 different reasons. One of them for sure is they didn't have the resources or tools that they're learning today. And whatever other reasons it might have been, they had a bad experience before. And a really big one, guys, is basic fear. Right? So fear of change, fear of the unknown, even fear of success, would you believe it? Yeah, there's a beautiful quote by a lady whose name I can't remember. It's not fear of failure that our biggest fear, it's fear that we are powerful beyond measure. If anyone knows who wrote that quote, please pop it in the chat box. Marianne Williamson, I think it was. So yeah, it's just there's so much fear around, you know, what is outside of that comfort zone. But I'll tell you what's outside of the comfort zone, those goals, the next level of success, those amazing relationships, more happiness and more joy. That's what exists on the other side. Not knowing how or where to start. This is a big resistance to change. So they start to maybe unconsciously, they now suddenly have awareness that, oh, I've got to change, but oh, I don't know how, or it's difficult, or oh, where to start. That'll be a resistance. Now, neurologically, right, inside of our brain and our whole body, there is some resistance to change. So our habits and our programs, account for 95% of the way we operate in the world. So 95% of the day, we're running on our old programs and habits. Now, for many people, those habits are disempowering. Those programs are disempowering. The habit of fear, the habit of resistance, the habit of, you know, wanting to stay in the comfort zone. And so we call those, you know, in coaching and NLP, we call those habits and programs. And also neurologically, the brain works on the path of least resistance, right? In other words, the comfort zone. So neurologically, the brain is trying to conserve energy. So whenever you're wanting to do something new, right, there is no neural pathway yet on how to do that new thing, right? For example, remember when you learned to drive a car? Whoa, it was like, it was really difficult to drive in those early days, but driving was important to you. You wanted your freedom and your independence, right? So you stuck with it and you kept practicing and you kept practicing and you kept practicing. And now you have created a habit or a program called driving. So now when you drive, it's easy and effortless. You can drive, change lanes, talk on the phone, sip your coffee. You can do all of those things all at the same time, pretty much on autopilot. But remember when you first started, it was difficult because your neurons, there was no neural pathway yet to connect those thoughts with the desired actions and behavior. So it's difficult in the early days. So what you need to do is to create new neural pathways through practice and repetition, practice and repetition. And if you want to be a master at change management, you must also have discipline there to back it up, because you need to do it consistently, right, to be able to create those new neural pathways. All right. How can you create more certainty, right? So we've identified that uncertainty is the biggest resistance to change in ourselves and in our teams. So what we want to be able to do, guys, is to create more certainty. How do we do that? Well, let's look at how you create more certainty with yourself first. And I'm going to invite you to share with me some of your thoughts in a moment too, guys, into the chat box. So how do you create more certainty, guys? Right, think about it. So remember, the topic today is change management in uncertain times. So there's a lot of uncertainty going on out there. So you need to create a little bit more certainty in your personal life. So you want to create new empowering habits, rituals, and routines. Whether that is waking up early, whether it's doing some exercise or some yoga, whether it's a meditation practice, whether it's a gratitude journal, something, but make it a habit. Right? Make yourself a daily positive habit that begins to strengthen or create more certainty in your life, if that makes sense, because you're in 100% control of that. Does it take discipline? Yes, right? So set yourself up with an accountability buddy, put reminders in your telephone to remind you to do that thing. You know, it can be something as simple as making the bed or doing 10 push-ups per day. As you create these new empowering habits, that's going to create a new neural network, which will give you the strength, the neurological strength to deal with the uncertainty that's going on out there. Regular exercise and physical movement gives you more confidence and certainty to be able to navigate these uncertain waters. Embrace new experiences more often, right? So every time, guys, you get outside of your comfort zone and do something new, whether it's tango dancing or joining a workshop or, you know, going for a walk or going for a bike ride, whatever it is, something new, well, you're strengthening your neurological resilience, right? Because you're firing and wiring more neurons to give you more strength, more resources to be more resilient and adaptable to your environment. Be sure, guys, in levels of uncertainty to create a more positive environment. What do I mean by that? Go on a diet and remove the toxic people from your life. They do not deserve your attention. Just remove them out. And also remove any kind of toxic input, such as mainstream media, just any negative stuff. Remove it out of there, because all of that, you know, the things on the mainstream media, they are designed to create fear, which therefore makes us feel even more uncertain. Well, you want the opposite in uncertain times. You want more certainty. So positive books, autobiographies, webinars, you know, whatever it takes to feed yourself through your 5 senses more positive input. So tell me now, guys, please put into the chat box, what are some other ways how we can be more certain, how you can create more certainty? And I can see, wow, we've got some great answers here, guys. Thank you. Yeah, clock ringing reminder. What else have we got? Strategize, plan, execute, self-affirmation, gratitude, mindfulness, physical exercise. Perfect, Veronica, thank you. Howard says, set boundaries and be realistic and honest. Oh my goodness. Setting boundaries is one of the best self-love medicines that you can give yourself, guys. Write down why a certain habit is important. Nice. Daily alarm exercise. Anything else, guys? Pop it into the chat box for me. Right? Practice acceptance over resistance. So we kind of need to get it, guys, that we cannot control every single event outside of us. When we resist that, though, it creates a certain level of negativity. It creates tension in our body. Our stress hormones increase. It compromises our immune system and 100 other things. So if it's outside of your control, accept it and move on, rather than resist, 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 resist. Be comfortable in being uncomfortable, right? Because your growth, your journey, your evolution, it's here as long as you are walking this planet. So you want to be comfortable stepping into the unknown and unfamiliar, because that's where your future self exists. Your future self, that next level, exists in the unknown and the uncertain. So you want to go and meet him or her. You say, hey, future me, I'll be there in a second. Let me just take this step outside of the comfort zone. right? That is my wish for you. So you need to get comfortable embracing a certain level of discomfort or uncertainty. Continuous learning, guys. It's one of the best tools at your disposal for creating more certainty. The more information, the more data, the more knowledge you have, you're able to convert that into wisdom as you apply it into your life. The more wisdom that you have, the more resilient you are, the higher your emotional intelligence, the greater your ability to respond. Right? We can't control everything outside of us, but you can always control your response to it. The more tools you have, the more learning and knowledge that you have, the more you're able to do that. And meditation is my gosh, I don't think I would have been able to get through last year without my daily meditation practice. Absolutely recommended. And a few more chat comments here. Let me take a quick look. Yeah, boundaries from toxics. Yeah, what a great comment, Jess. Start with a small habit daily, being aware of things you can control. So for example, my new habit is I'm going to go to the gym for 1 hour per day for 8 days a week. That is going to set yourself up for failure. Why? Because it's too big. You're coming from your comfort zone and you're stepping into the unknown. Make it easy for yourself, guys, when you start to build these new habits, right? You're going to read a personal development book for 10 minutes a day. I'm going to attend one webinar once a week. I'm going to attend one course once a year. Like whatever it is for you, make it small and easy to start with. You'll be setting yourself up for success. Cool. Now, when working with teams and others, especially if you're a leader, guys, how am I going for time? Very good. Teams and others. So clearly, you must lead by example, that you embrace change. If you want to create more certainty in your teams, then you've got to walk the talk, right? If you're freaking out by all of this, oh my God, we're in another lockdown, and oh my, if you're taking that vibe, that energy into the workplace, everyone's going to be a mirror of whatever's going on for you. So if you're a leader, guys, in an organization or your own business, you've got to step up, and you need to do it, not just for yourself, you need to do it for the psychological safety of the rest of your team. You've got to walk the talk. Your job as a leader is you must create certainty in uncertain times, right? That's your number one job as a leader. If there's nothing else, your job is to create certainty in uncertain times. So walk the talk first. Do your own push-ups, as my mentor used to tell to me. Now, be mindful, though, not just to change for the sake of change, right? Some people get carried away with this whole change management movement. They just suddenly get something right, and then they say, oh, let's change it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? If you are going to go through an organizational change, remember, you need to work at the pace that your team can handle. So take it in small steps, build up their change muscle, right? It's just like our own personal change. You're not going to do exercise 1 hour a day, 8 days a week. It's too big. Your team is going to be the same. So you need to incrementally get them aware and get them used to change. Get them to be comfortable by being uncomfortable. Clearer communication in your role as a leader. Why are we changing? What are the benefits of changing? What can we expect from this change? What are the roles and responsibilities as we navigate this change? And you must continually develop your own leadership skills, especially as we think about, especially in today's modern time, guys, you've got to think about collaborative and inclusive leadership principles, which means you do it together with your team, right? Rather than telling your team what to do, rather than standing up and say, all right, do this, do this, do this, do it with your team. Invest that extra time, because then you get their input, you get their buy-in. They might know something that you had not considered, and then you're all going to move and navigate this uncertainty together. Right? Any other examples, guys? Please pop them into the chat box. Quick. How else can you create more certainty with teams and others? Any suggestions? Yes, Michelle, the Kaizen method. Yeah. 1%. Imagine this. You've got 10 employees in your team. You're the boss and you've got 10 subordinates. If each person only improve 1%, well, across the team, that's an improvement of 10%. That's going to move the needle in terms of productivity or efficiency or customer satisfaction or profits or whatever it is that you manage. 1% is doable, right? And then when everyone is happy with that, you say, awesome, let's do another 1%. And then this is a beautiful way to implement change. Fantastic. Awesome. What else have we got here? Share, remember, you're the leader here now. Share the vision, share the direction, and share the purpose of this change process even more, right? So be really, really clear, guys, in why are we doing what we do. When we talk about purpose, we talk about the why. If your people know why we're doing what we're doing, they're much more likely to buy into the process, as opposed to, hey, we're going to change because I said so. Watch them walk out the door if that's your strategy, right? So include them and really come from that purpose or that why. And do more brainstorming, right? During times of uncertainty, do more brainstorming, right? If nothing else, it gives you a greater opportunity to connect with your team, to create greater collaboration and synergy, and you get to flush out their fears or concerns or you know, personal things that are going on. So, you know, invest that time to do more brainstorming and creative processes together with your team to find out those blockages and to share that vision and the purpose together with them. And yeah, let them speak and start becoming vulnerable. Remember, being vulnerable is true courage. Absolutely agreed on that one. Bring them into the planning action so they have a sense of attachment, right? Remember, if they're attached to the idea, well, that's certainty, guys. That's going to pull them through this river of change. Beautifully said, beautifully said. Awesome. All right. Now, we know that we cannot control every single event outside of us, don't we, guys? We know that. And this quote kind of sums it up very, very nicely by Viktor Frankl. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space lies our freedom and power to choose our response. And in our response lies our growth and our freedom. Now, most people are not aware that this space exists. In fact, there is no space. And so what happens is that stimulus, which is just an event, which is going to be outside of our control at some point, that stimulus, that event happens, and then they react, right? Kind of looks like this. So here we are. This is this space. And in the space, guys, is your conscious awareness. Over here is the stimulus. The stimulus is that event, right? It is that event. It's that situation. It's the unknown. It's the unpredictable, right? We know that we cannot control every single event outside of us. We know that, right? Now, when that space does not exist, which is most people most of the time, they will have a reaction, right? Stimulus, reaction. And what does that reaction look like? Anger, frustration, sadness, fear, hopelessness, and so on. So our job as consciously aware beings who want to consciously change, we need to create a greater space, a greater consciousness awareness. So what happens is that space opens and that space opens even more. And in that space, now you've created more awareness. So now you can choose a response. You can reflect a little bit. You can choose conscious action. You can make an empowered decision. You can have a conscious choice. You can have a mature conversation if there's another person involved, right? So think about it. Someone sends you an email and you get really angry and you go, oh, who the hell do they think they are? Angry, 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 send. Probably not a good strategy, right? So I know we've all had the experience where we've got that mail, we felt that anger, and we say, no, I'm going to take a walk, and then we go and reflect, we create that space, we have a cup of coffee, we think, and then we come back. Now we respond, in a much more positive way. We chose to respond consciously. And in that response lies our growth and our freedom, because now they no longer have control over us. We're not reacting, we are responding. Does this make sense, guys? Yes or yes? Awesome. So one technique that can work very, very well, guys, is, we've talked a lot about the mindset. We've covered about 80% of the mindset so far. There are some strategies that you can utilize, what I call kind of more of a mechanical process, shall we say. And again, there's already tons of information on there on how to deal with change. This is based on my personal experience that I'd like to share with you. So first thing you need to do, guys, if you're exploring the consequences of change, right? So you've consciously identified, or unconsciously, you've got a nudge from the universe that change needs to happen. Well, you need to explore the consequences. And this, what I'm about to share with you now, is something that my wife, Christy, and I did back in March last year. So in March last year was the first lockdown here in Thailand. So my business model as a coach and a trainer, and we provide NLP training and ICF coach training. We go into companies and teach them leadership development programs. All of that business was done face-to-face in a hotel environment. So on the 22nd of March in 2020, when the lockdown started, my whole business model stopped overnight. It just went away. So I remember, after the shock, right? It was a bit of a shock. It was outside of our control. And then we moved to the acceptance very, very quickly. And I remember I sat down with Christy out on our balcony here, and we made sure we were in a positive state, not coming from fear, right? Just we did our best to get in a positive state. So I don't know, I think we put some music on, or we did whatever we did to make sure we were in a positive state. Then we followed the rabbit hole down of a few different courses of action, right? So in our experience with Christy and I said, all right, let's go down the rabbit hole of worst case scenario. I say, let's say this lockdown or this COVID thing is still here by the end of the year. Back in March, we thought, oh yeah, right, impossible. Impossible that it would last 9 months. Surprise. Anyway, so we said, okay, worst case scenario, we can't train in a hotel environment. What does that look like? And so then we considered things like, okay, worst case scenario, what savings do we have in the bank? What assets do we have? What could we sell, right? And we went through all of that as a worst case scenario, as if zero income or revenue was coming through the door, right? We're self-employed, we have our own business, we don't have a big organization or company that continues to pay us. So we explored all of that. And then we said, okay, so that was that rabbit hole. We ran down that rabbit hole to consider what that would look like. Yeah, was it a little bit scary and dark? Yeah, but it's the truth, right? And we can't hide from the truth. This is unknown and unfamiliar. I'd never lived in a lockdown before. So as you get outside of the known and familiar, you're in the unknown and the unfamiliar, you've got to be a little bit courageous. So we went down that rabbit hole, and then we said, okay, what could we do to create more business, to keep our business going? So we thought, okay, we could do some webinars. Okay, we could do our courses online. Okay, we could do this. And then we just did a whole bunch of brainstorming, right? And then from each of those key areas of that brainstorm, then we ran down the rabbit hole of webinars. And then we ran down the rabbit hole of providing courses for companies online. And then we said, what would we look like if we did our NLP and our ICF? So we followed the rabbit hole on all of those different courses of action. It's not that one was right or one was wrong. We went down each rabbit hole and we looked at the pros and cons of each, right? So you need to consider all of your options, good, bad, and ugly, without bias, not your preference, not that, oh, that's ugly or dirty, I don't want to look at that. You got to surrender, guys, and you need to look at it as a very detached, without that emotion. This is a very logical process that I'm talking about here. That's why it falls into the 20% of strategy. So you can ask yourself questions like, okay, based on this course of action, this rabbit hole, what would happen if we did? What would happen if we didn't? What would not happen if we did? What would not happen if we didn't, right? That's called Cartesian logic. And so we asked these, think of it as pros and cons. And we did that for all of it. So basically, we had a lot of data. Now, at that point, it can be valuable to check in with a trusted friend or colleague or mentor or coach. So it could be your partner. Christy and I are lucky. We're both coaches. We're both trainers. We've got a lot of information and resources. So that worked very, very well for us. It could be a colleague or a mentor or an uncle or your father or mother, whoever it might be. Then, guys, once you've explored the options, you need to decide, right? And you just need to decide. Most people get stuck around the kind of the brainstorming and then they do nothing. But doing nothing is still a choice. And doing nothing keeps you in your comfort zone, except now you've got all this added stress about not taking action. So you need to decide and then you need to take action, right? So this webinar, like we're doing here right now, we locked down on the 22nd of March. Within 2 or 3 days, Christy and I had that conversation. And on the 27th of March, we launched our very, very first free webinar. Now, I didn't know what was going to happen. I barely knew how to run Zoom or do anything virtual. It was totally unknown and uncomfortable. But you know what? We explored it, we decided, and then we thought, let's take action. Now, we had 100 people or so turn up on that very, very first webinar. And at the end of that webinar, I had 3 companies call me and said, Luke, can you do something like that, but inside our company, customized? Now, I didn't know how, but of course I said, yeah, of course we can, right? And then we figured it out. We were dancing in the unknown and the unfamiliar, and we figured it out. And these clients that we work with, they're partners. They're not clients, they're partners. So we would do something and they would give us feedback and we would improve, and then we would do it again and they had a suggestion and we would improve. And then so we did that for the all of 2020 with amazing, amazing results, delivering our ICF and NLP and in-house coaching programs, leadership programs, and so on. Right? Now, the key point here, guys, take the action and change the course later. If it doesn't work, it's okay. You just learned something that did not work. So you adjust your course, you regroup and reprioritize, re-brainstorm, whatever you need to do, and then you choose a different course. It's not a bad thing. You just worked out one way that doesn't work. Cool. Does this make sense, guys? Yes or yes? Thank you. Okay, so what do you think, guys? How much energy do we use up when we resist life? Yeah. So when you think about energy, I want you to think about time here. I want you to consider money, resources, physical energy, mental energy, motivation, etc. These are some areas where we might resist life, such as change, right? As we've already covered, people are really, really good at resisting change. Now, I had to put this one in here, deciding whether to exercise. Have you noticed that whenever you exercise, 98% of the time, you feel really, really good after you exercise? Yes or no? Yeah, we do. It's biological. It's neurological. We always feel good after exercise. So did you know the hard bit is deciding, oh, should I go? Oh, should I not go? Oh, but I'm so tired. I worked so hard today. Or, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. And we have this conversation with ourselves for like half a day. How much energy do you think we're burning up and wasting by having this internal conversation about something simple as going to exercise? We know we should do it. We know it's good for us. We know we feel good. We know it'll help us keep us thin. But instead, we resist it and we waste and burn up energy. Not good energy, right? The energy we actually want to do other stuff. Here's another big one. We resist delivering necessary feedback if you're a leader or a parent, or we resist having to have those difficult conversations, and we put it off and we put it off and we talk to ourselves about it. Oh, tomorrow will be better. Yeah, she'll be in a good mood tomorrow, or I'll have that conversation tomorrow. How much energy do you think we burn up by not having those conversations and resisting that process? starting that project now. No, tomorrow's a better day. I'll start it tomorrow. Or completing that project. Oh yeah, but I've already done so much today. And again, we're burning up this energy. Procrastination in general, that thing that we know that we should be doing, but are not doing, or that thing that we know that we should not be doing, but we are doing. And then so we resist that. And there's just resistance in every area. Now, I want you to be honest here, guys, and I want you to pop into the chat box. Imagine for a moment you have 100 units of energy per day. How many units do you think you waste in resistance during the day? Right? And be honest with yourself. This is just a tool to create awareness. It's not about judgment or anything like that. But based on some of these examples here, how much are you resisting life? And I'll be honest, for me, if I go back to maybe say 4 years ago, I would say 50%, 50 units of my energy, I was resisting life. I'm much, much better at it now, and I'm still working on it. It's probably 20 at the moment. And it was actually really good to build this PowerPoint over these last couple of days to really think about this. So what do we got? 60%, 20%, 30%, 20%, 25, 25, 30. Cool. And this is just for your own personal awareness, guys. It's not to compare or to judge or anything like that. I want you to create awareness around this resistance. Can you imagine if that resistance was not there? Can you imagine how much better you'd feel in your body? Can you imagine how much more you would get done more easily, more productive, how more quickly you could grow in life? Oh, so just consider that over the next few days. Now, let's pause there for a moment and let's just check. Does anyone have any questions about anything so far? We've been moving through nice and quickly today. Any questions about anything? You can either unmute yourself or pop a question into the chat box. Any questions so far, guys?
Yes.
Yes, please.
For me, my issue is that I know and then I can manage my life well, but for my coaches, I have been guiding them, but it is difficult to change their mindset.
And that's why, guys, we say that change, successful change management is mindset, right? So, and when we're working with people, whether they're your coachee or whether they're your subordinates, it could even be your husband or your wife or your kids, right? It's going to happen out there in the world. Now, that's absolutely true that the coachee needs to be willing to be coached, right? So one good way to address that with your coachee, the way I like to do it is I like to address it at the very, very beginning. And you can kind of tell it to your coachees a bit of a story at the beginning of the coaching engagement, right? So for example, they're about to sign up with you or whatever to do how many hours. You say to them, hey, listen, coaching is a partnership where you are going to make the decisions to grow to that next level of success. And you might say to them, how important is it to you to achieve this goal that you want to achieve? Now, hopefully they say 100%. And you'll say, great. How committed are you to achieving this goal? Whoa, and if they're anything less than 100%, you need to get them up to 100%, right? So that becomes a little mini conversation in the beginning. Then you need to ask them, are you willing to get outside of your comfort zone to do what is necessary to achieve that next level of success? Are you willing to be uncomfortable and to change these old patterns and programs that are no longer serving you? Are you ready to do that? And then you get their commitment, right? And then you say, all right, let's do this. Yeah. So we call that an NLP. We call that a pre-frame. You're setting the expectations very, very clearly in advance. And then whenever they start resisting, you can say, well, hang on a second, hang on, time out. Remember back when we started, you said you'd be willing to do whatever it took and you'd be comfortable to be uncomfortable, to get outside of the comfort zone. Come on now, right? So that would be my suggestion in that area. Yeah, and of course, everyone's going to be a little bit different. But if you have that conversation in the early days, it'll be much, much easier for you. Okay, guys, so now we're aware that, you know, you can consciously change or unconsciously change. We're aware of some of the resistance. So that means you can be better prepared to deal with that in the future. So now you want to think about your conscious evolution. How can you grow to that next level of success, right? So to move from that pain and that suffering, move to a place of acceptance that you can't control every single element of your life, right? Go with the river of change, right? It's better to paddle downstream at an accelerated rate than it is to try and paddle upstream with all of that resistance and that struggle that goes with it. Explore the possibilities and the consequences, as I mentioned in my little rabbit hole story. Practice greater agility. So by agility, I mean making quicker decisions and taking quicker action, right? Agility is about being flexible and about being quick. And so you can always change your mind. You can make a new decision and a new action. You can always do that later if it doesn't work out. But procrastination and not changing, that is still a decision. So better, if achieving that next level is important for you, to do it today. Don't do it tomorrow. Find the balance of having that intention, but also surrendering to the process of life. Sometimes what we think we want isn't actually what's best for us. So if that thing that you think that you want is not working out, and it's not working out, and it's not working out, surrender and choose something else. That could be the universe giving you a little message to say, you know what, I've got something bigger in mind for you. I've got something better for you. Let that go. Right? Surrender to the flow of life. And guys, find a role model, right? Find someone who's really good at navigating change. Work with a coach or a mentor or a trainer. You don't have to do it alone. You don't have to do it in the darkness, in the shadows. Find someone that's already done it or that's really good at it, or maybe find someone, that specific area where you want to change. Find someone who's already done it. You don't have to start from scratch. Decide, act, and then assess, right? Evaluate. Just decide, take the action, and then assess, right? Is it working or is it not? And that's it. Cool. Ultimately, guys, if you want to be a master of change management, be the change that you want to see in the world. Don't be unconscious in the passenger seat. Move across to the driver's seat. Consciously take control of your life and move it into the direction that you want to go. And one of the best tools, guys, that's going to support you on that journey is our NLP 4-in-1 certification program. It's on the 11th to the 15th of March. You can join us in Bangkok if you're in Thailand, or you can join us virtually. This is available anywhere in the world. And the regular investment is $79,000. Webinar special today, guys, this program in March is just 50,000 baht. And there are a monthly payment plan as well, which you can do through your credit card. Super, super easy. The NLP, guys, is great for all of this change management stuff. Better communication internally and externally, EQ, emotional control, leadership skills, conflict resolution, change management techniques. It's all inside of this program. Okay. Now, you might be wanting to help others to navigate change. And for that reason, I would recommend the ICF coaching program. So whether you are a leader or you're looking to become a professional coach in the future, this is the world's best recognized coaching authority, the ICF, International Coach Federation. The dates for this one are 20 to 21 of March. Regular investment 79, webinar special for today 55,000, and also have a monthly payment plan. So thank you all very, very much, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's session as much as I did. Quickly turn your cameras on. Let me take a look at those beautiful smiling faces. Thank you, Marissa. Thank you, Michelle. That's very kind of you. Turn those cameras on real quick. Yeah, put your pants on, put your shirt on. Very good. And if you enjoyed today, guys, give me a quick thumbs up. Thank you, thank you, thank you all so much for joining. I hope you enjoyed as much as I did. I'll send you guys a little email about those options for those trainings. Hope you enjoyed it. Ciao, ciao. See you at one of our trainings soon. Take care. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye. Thanks, Luke.
Thank you. Have a good night, guys. Ciao, ciao.
Bye,
Thanks, Luke.
Thank
It was
you.
great to hear you speak again.
Thank
I
you.
miss your voice.
Oh, thank you. So nice to see the familiar faces too. Marissa,
Good to see
Michelle,
you, Marissa.
Jess, Howard. Thank you, guys. Love you. Take care. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.